So for the guys out there watching, specifically the men, don't let your girlfriends discover TikTok Shop, or
Why
you will
not?
end up wearing matching sweatshirts for the entire Christmas season.
Look at how cute they are, though. Come on. You even admitted it. This is the best sweatshirt ever.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. They're so cute.
I like it a little bit.
We got so many compliments on them, okay?
We did get a lot of compliments on them.
That's all I buy things for.
Yeah, I just worry now we're opening up this like door on TikTok Shop that we're gonna be
No.
going down for a while now.
No, just around the Christmas season.
Yeah.
After January. I don't need to match with you.
Okay. So I just have to wear this until January.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all.
Do that. All right, well, still back for more in the Christmas season. Another episode, Redo or reDON'T. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Kayla.
And today, keeping with the third installment of this theme of Christmas, we're now doing the Santa Claus film franchise with Tim Allen versus, I guess, what would also still be a legacy sequel, but in the form of not another movie, just this time a television series. On Disney Plus, they have the Santa Clauses.
Yes.
Also with Tim Allen and most of the cast from the original movies, actually.
Yeah, they make a decent amount of appearances.
They get a lot of people to come back. I mean, they have more time to span it like over to get a lot of people to come back. They did it over 2 seasons. At least 2 seasons are out right now. I don't know if they'll come out with a third.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, right. But like it's not just another movie where they'd have to get everybody in a short filming schedule like time period. They had, hey, if I can't get this person to come back for season 1, we'll write them into season 2. Or like, hey, I can only be there for a short window of filming.
Right.
All right, well, we'll write you in for a short period in this episode, and then, we'll have a reason why you didn't come back for any more.
Right. Like if you're familiar with Charlie, he comes back for a very short period of time, but he still comes back.
Yeah, Eric Lloyd plays Charlie in the original movies. I mean, he's a kid in the original movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I guess by the second one, he becomes like a teenager. But for the second and third, he's a teenager. But like, he's a kid in the first one.
Oh yeah. And
now, obviously, I mean, I think that there's almost 30 years between the first film, the Santa Claus, and the TV series revival. So, he's aged 30 years. He's definitely an adult now.
Right.
And they even write that into the show. Charlie now, his character is like married and is starting his own life. And they end up working that in by saying, because I thought, of course, they're going to bring back Charlie. They bring back, obviously Tim Allen plays Santa Claus, and Scott Calvin is his regular name. But then they bring back Elizabeth Mitchell, who plays Mrs. Claus. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, they're definitely going to bring back Charlie. That's the original family.
Right.
And they bring him back, like you said, for one episode. And it's in that episode, it's, the point of the series is that, at a certain time, Santa Claus has to retire. Mm-hmm. And so Tim Allen's, Scott Calvin becoming Santa Claus is getting to that point where he's ready to retire. And so they're thinking, who's going to be the successor? And you think that it's going to be Charlie. At least I did. I was like, that's the easiest answer, of course.
Right.
And they get Eric Lloyd to come back, unless he had his own personal reasons for why he couldn't continuously be in this TV series. But they offer it to him to take over the role, and he says no.
Right, because he already has a family, a wife, and was it multiple kids, 1 kid, whatever. But he has a family in, like, Florida.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. I was going to say Florida, and I was like, I think it was Florida.
I think it was Florida.
Yeah. But, like...
I wouldn't leave Florida either. Between the North Pole and Florida...
Santa?
No.
To
Too
be
cold.
Santa. You wouldn't leave?
I couldn't be Santa anyway. So.
Okay, but either way, I mean... So if I come to you one day, and we're living in Florida, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be Santa, and you're going to be Mrs. Claus, you'd be like, no.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Wow.
It's too cold.
I'd come back with like great news. You're not going to believe what happened. I went to Walmart, and in that time, I'm offered to become the next Santa. And you'd be like, no.
No.
I'd be so excited to come home and give you that news, and you'd be like, no.
We're staying in Florida.
Yeah.
Much
You'd
warmer.
go back and tell them no. Is he still at Walmart?
Yeah, right. Go back. Tell him
Yeah.
no.
No, I mean, again, I didn't really understand that. I was like, oh, and it's like what, the second episode? The first episode, I think, is them like learning that, he's going to retire. And the second episode is really more so like who's going to be the successor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of course, here comes Charlie. Great, fantastic. This is exactly where I wanted it to go. And he's in it for like a couple of minutes, one scene.
Right.
And it's him turning it down. I was like, what a wasted opportunity. You got him to come back.
Yeah, Marvel just couldn't commit to what it would have been to stay for a full season. Or in their minds, they were just thinking, no, we don't want it to be the obvious answer, which would have been Charlie.
Well, that's the thing, because if it is that Eric Lloyd just simply felt like he couldn't come back and commit, there's only 6 episodes per season. And I don't even know if they intended on having a season 2 by the time that they were filming season 1. So like it really didn't seem like it was that much of a filming commitment. Obviously, I don't know. I wasn't there firsthand. But like for 6 episodes.
That are only a half hour each.
Right.
Yeah.
That couldn't have taken that long. It's
Unless
not like
he
you're
was
doing
working on something else.
Yeah, that could be too. But like think about an NBC series that runs for 22 episodes and then like you have a break, 15 episodes in. It's like that's probably definitely a few months commitment here. 6 episodes for a half hour each. That's got to be a lot quicker. Like,
you would think.
Yeah, I don't know. So maybe it was an Eric. I don't know the specifics about it and why Eric Lloyd didn't have a bigger role in the series. But then how do they counteract that? Is there like, well, Scott Calvin and Mrs. Claus, again played by Elizabeth Mitchell, like she was Principal Newman, right? I don't remember her first name, but she was like Principal Newman.
Yeah.
They have more kids of their own, So I guess. Charlie's like half siblings, Cal, and then do you remember the daughter?
No.
Oh, right, fantastic.
I don't.
Was it like Riley?
No.
All right,
it wasn't Riley. If I remember correctly, though, at the end of either the second Santa Claus movie or the third Santa Claus movie, the two of them do have a kid, and I think it's a girl. Therefore, for continuity reasons, in the TV series, the girl should have been the older sibling and the boy should have been the younger sibling, but it was reversed. Do you remember
they have
that?
it backwards. Now that you say it, I do remember that.
And I think it was a little girl at the end of the movies.
Your memory would be better than mine. Like I definitely don't remember that. I vaguely remember them having a kid at the end of the movies.
Right. I thought it was a little girl. Again, I could be remembering incorrectly, but if it was, then in the TV series, the girl, they make it seem like is the older or the younger sister, the guy's the older brother, but then that would be backwards.
So the daughter's name is Sandra.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't think they called her Sandra once, and if they did, I do not remember that.
No, I don't remember that even slightly.
Do not remember it at all, them calling her Sandra. But point is, like you were saying, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's got to be easy to keep with the continuity, so I can't imagine that they'd have such like a mistake like that. I mean, your memory sure is better. I haven't rewatched like the movies in preparation for this, but like I whether or not they stuck to that, he has 2 kids, a boy and a girl, Cal and I guess Sandra. We just finished watching 2 straight seasons of this show and we can't figure out what the daughter's name is.
It was a vague watch.
Yeah. Well, and so then they kind of start going down that road. And, one of them is going to be the successor. And it doesn't get until season 2 where they decide. There's like a weird. The plot of season 1 was weird to me. I mean, they end up like it wasn't the obvious, okay, the kids are going to be the successor. After Charlie turns it down, it ends up being that they have like Cal Penn comes in.
That was his name?
That's who the actor is.
Oh, that's who the actor was. I'm like, why did they just name everyone Cal?
Yeah, I know, right? It was just kind of so strange. So he's this like single dad
with a tech startup.
Yeah, and he's like a businessman, and he's trying to, get his name recognized in that industry, and at the same time, it's kind of like fate is drawing him towards being the next Santa.
Right.
So he's kind of thinking, well, this is great. Like, I'm trying to, get my business to boom. And I'm going to be, being Santa is exactly what I need to do that. And he tries to like merge the two together, like his industry life and the magic of being Santa, and
Right.
that's when it kind of like goes to his head, and it's like that's not what being Santa's all about.
Kind
And-
of. He tries to make it Christmas every day.
Right.
And then with that, people start to lose the magic, I guess you could kind of say, because it's not once a year, it's now every day. And he's trying to make these little robots that will just, whenever someone wants something, they can
just drop it in
basically
his hand.
Amazon Prime it, but it's, or Amazon
Yeah.
Prime. But it's just like Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Delivering
yeah,
stuff
and that's when it
whenever
becomes
you
like,
want.
that's when it becomes like that's not what Christmas is about. It's special because it only comes once a year, and it's not that it's every day and this and that. And it's kind of like the power goes to his head.
Yeah.
So then he's clearly not the suitable pick to be the next Santa. But it's like, so that didn't accomplish anything. That didn't add anything to the Santa Claus world.
No.
The world of these movies and anything was basically the whole point of season 1 was like we tried a new Santa, it didn't work. Now we're right back at square one by the end of the season. Didn't contribute anything.
No, nothing
So,
at all.
Yeah, so
It wasn't even like it was good with a good plot that would
No.
draw you in. So it was just overall useless.
Yeah. I mean, like, just completely felt like at the end of season 1, like, why did they even go and touch it? Like, why do they have to expand upon the already, I was about to say the already great movie franchise, which we're going to have to get into, but like, you know, that's a little iffy. How great was the franchise? But why did they have to expand it
Yeah.
at all?
Right.
You know, then season 2 kind of goes with the plot that you would assume season 1 would be about. You know, the kids, Santa's kids becoming the successor, which makes a little bit more sense than random Cal Penn.
Right.
And weirdly enough, the son's name is Cal, like you said.
Yeah.
So the son kind of is stepping into the role of being the next Santa, and Tim Allen's trying to teach him what he has to do to become it, and it's not coming easy to him. You know, Eric Stonestreet, we were talking about from Modern Family,
Yes.
comes in as one of the lead actors in a weird, like, villainous role of season 2.
You wouldn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
Yeah, we did. It took us a few episodes in, so
Yeah.
I was like staring at the
that-
screen. Is that Eric Stonestreet from
Yeah.
Modern Family? And
Exactly.
it was like an epiphany. We were like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
But he's the saving grace of that entire season too. Like, it makes a little bit more sense of a plot than the first season.
Right. Because
But
basically the second one when he comes in is he was one of the previous Santas who was an evil Santa, so they called him Mad Santa. And for whatever reason, the elves, and somehow now in the North Pole back in the day, they also had trolls.
Mm-hmm.
So the trolls and the elves kind of gang up on him.
Gnomes.
The gnomes, that's right.
But
it
no,
wasn't
there
the
are trolls, but this was like a gnome
The
versus
gnomes
elves.
and the elves, yes.
Yeah.
They kind of gang up on him to put a magical spell on him that makes him a nutcracker.
Yeah.
So he can't be Santa anymore. I can't make that make any more sense than it does. That's just what happened. So the gnomes and the elves gang up on the mad Santa, and they make him a nutcracker for like 700 years. And for whatever reason, he comes back. Like the nutcracker is now in a Santa museum, and it gets dropped, and that somehow makes him come back to life. And so now he's out in the real world, who wants to take over being Santa again, because when he last was conscious, he was the Santa Claus.
Right. So that was one of my biggest problems about, especially season 2, but about the whole series, is they added so much like random out of left field, like plot points that just kind of were like, oh yeah, we never touched on this before in 3 movies, but now it's going to be in this TV show.
Right.
And it's like, you're just adding things that are like that are driving your plot now without any consideration of like, did we talk about this at all in the first 3 films, or are we just saying, hey, yeah, by the way, this has been here the whole time?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, that weird thing about how they froze him and made him a nutcracker, and yet he can like he's not dead. He
Right.
can be like defrosted or like thawed, essentially.
Kind of.
Changed back.
Yeah.
Like, you know, no one thought to tell Tim Allen Santa that in the first 3 films.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then there was one point where the villainous Mad Santa, played by Eric Stonestreet, finds Scott Calvin Santa, and they have like this like little show, like duel in the park one night, and Eric Stonestreet's Mad Santa just conjures up And I know that like that's the whole point is that, but it's not like Christmas magic of why Santa can, fly around on a sleigh in one night. It's just that everybody just has these magic powers. He just randomly, Eric Stonestreet conjures up this like evil snowball.
Yeah.
That he throws at Tim Allen, and it like makes Tim Allen's like arm go numb. And I don't know. I mean, that's just one example of like, I was thinking, what am I watching right now? Because I know that like it's supposed to be that the North Pole has, powers and there's magic and whatever, but it's like there was no like evil snowballs being conjured up in the first three films. Like what's going on here? They're just writing in these random things like, oh yeah, they can do that now.
And they already had a villain in the third movie when they brought in Jack Frost.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of took the plot from that and put it into a season of someone coming into the North Pole and causing problems.
Trying to take over and be Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing original.
Yeah, well, let's get into that. So the films, right? We're not doing versus the films. It'll be the films versus the series. But the films, like, I love the first one.
Yeah, the first one was good. So was the second.
The second one I liked, right? It was not as good as the first, but still not terrible.
Yeah.
Then the third one, I remember when I was a kid watching that and being like, what is this garbage?
Yeah,
you know what
I never
I mean?
liked it.
I was like, it came out in 2006. How old were we? We were 9?
Yeah.
I remember watching it as a 9-year-old and being like, this sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
This is garbage. Jack Frost, like, that was such a bad film.
I have like a very weird memory of them cloning a sheep in the third one.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Everything was just so random and out of the blue and like unnecessary. So even in like the continuous trilogy, they went too far and did more than they needed to.
What is the year span between the three movies?
So 1994 was the original. Oh. I know, right? 2002 was the second, and 2006 was the third.
Okay. Why are these movies older than I thought?
Well, 1994, I kind of knew, like...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I would have guessed early 2000s is when it first came out.
No.
It was before us?
I would have guessed 97 when we were born. That would have been my guess, but it was 94.
I would have guessed 2001 for the first movie.
No, if you look at it, it's kind of like filmed in an old school like style. If you look at like the CGI and whatever, it's very 90s-ish.
Interesting.
But the best thing about the first movie is the humor that they pull off. It is still funny to watch to this day. And it's especially funny, like it's a kid's movie that's rated PG, but it's funny to adults.
Yeah.
It's something that I always loved about it. Is like, it's funny for the kids, yeah, but it's really like very adult humor too. Not in like a crude way.
Inappropriate kind of way, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that like, it's kind of tailored towards like kids and adults at the same time.
It's almost like those vague Nickelodeon jokes.
Right.
That it's for kids, but then there's certain jokes that are going to go right over their head, but the adults appreciate it.
Right. That's why, like, as weird as it sounds, we can still watch SpongeBob.
Yeah, Nickelodeon was always good with that.
Yeah. And you can still laugh because it's got some kid humor, but it's also got some adult humor. They're not trying to dumb it down.
Yeah.
So that was something Santa Claus 1 did perfectly. And I always loved about that movie. Santa Claus 2 gets a little bit weirder and, like, cornier and didn't have to be made, but, like, okay, the successful first movie, let's run with it, we'll make a second. Then the third one, you were out of ideas, man. Like,
yeah, 100%. That's just what it seems like.
Yeah, but that's the point of this podcast, right? Is like, you don't have to keep making them.
You could have stopped.
Right. I know that everyone wants more money, but like, you're sacrificing quality, and then you're just going to taint the great legacies of the movies before it.
And the third one, 100% did.
Right.
100%.
Right,
like, when I think of the Santa Claus trilogy, it's like, oh, the first and second one were good, but the third one sucked.
So that's my test when I do like all of these films is like, am I going to say later on, 20 years down the road, like, hey, Mamma Mia is a great movie, but the second one, though, I know it's a bad one.
No, you're not going to say that. You're going to say that that's a great movie.
Bad example.
Horrible example.
Okay, Anchorman. I'm like, Anchorman's a great movie. I love Anchorman. Don't go watch the second one, though.
Okay, that's a better example.
Yeah, okay, thank you. But that's true, is like, you're always now going to have to say for the rest of your, whenever anybody brings up Anchorman, you're like, oh, I love that movie. It's so funny. Don't watch the second one, though. That one sucked.
It's interesting because we were talking about these movies at work the other day, and I was saying to them, oh, don't watch the series. It's really bad. And someone that I work with was like, oh, I love the Santa Claus movies. I wanted to watch the Disney Plus series, and I was like, don't watch it.
Right.
Don't even waste your time. It's going to just ruin it more than the third movie did.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like the third one didn't work. I'll pull up the numbers in a second, but it's not like it was well received or everybody loved it and we really needed more.
Yeah.
No, you kind of went too far with the third movie in the first place. So why 30 years later? I mean, maybe they're thinking like we have to rectify our mistake that we made with the third one, but now you're just ruining it even more.
Yeah, no. I don't think there was any rectifying of a mistake in their mind.
Yeah.
It was just... Because if they did, it would have been good.
No, but...
And it wasn't.
Well, they were thinking, then for whatever reason, they were thinking, let's keep expanding it.
Yeah.
And it's like, learn to stop. The third one sucked. You're going to keep making more after that? Like, that wasn't a telltale sign, hey, we ran out of ideas?
Yeah, right.
So... And the ideas that they bring back for the series don't do it justice. They don't help it in any way. It just kind of keeps driving it into the mud. So it's just like, from now on, everyone just watch the first one and then maybe the second one, but just stop.
And even with the series, too, it was a weird plot that the kids are humans that are born at the North Pole, but they have magical powers. All of a sudden, the daughter's now a witch. And I'm just like, where did that come from?
Exactly.
Charlie would never had magical powers.
Exactly.
I guess Charlie wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't born in the North Pole. It's like they just make up their own rules whenever they want.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, how are we going to have the kids have powers when Charlie never did? Well, just say because they were born at the North Pole, they have powers. Oh, okay, yeah, that writes us out of that hole.
Right.
It's like, no. This should be telling everybody in the writer's room, hey, we're out of ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
And now if we're just making stuff up and being like, yeah, this has always been something, we just never talked about it before.
And it was interesting because they did bring Bernard back too.
They brought up, yeah.
But Bernard, if Bernard was an elf, then he would have still looked like he did 30 years ago because their thing is the elves don't age.
Yeah.
But so then they made up a new plot that similarly to Charlie, Bernard met someone in the real world and ended up falling in love, so decided not to be an elf anymore, therefore he would age.
Yeah.
Like, what is that even? When in the first 3 movies did they ever say, like, oh, elves don't age?
Yeah, or establish anything
I don't
like
ever
that.
remember that. Maybe I'm missing a huge plot point.
No, but, like, then in a big, like, plot point in the show is... They call it the Yule-verse, which is its take on, like, right now in the Spider-Man movies is a huge thing, is, like, the Spider-Verse, or the, you know, in Avengers, there's, like, the multiverse, which is, you know, that you can have intersecting stories come into, like, one plot. You know, like, the Spider-Verse is, you have different everybody who's played Spider-Man can all intersect and like, coexist in one timeline through the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
That's how they end up bringing back all these Santas to be around in one timeline in this show. And it's just like, that's such a lazy way to go about it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we'll just we'll take what they did with Spider-Man and we'll do it with Santas in the show. Like,
I mean, if Spider-Man does it and Marvel does it, then you could say that it's the Disney way because... Isn't that all Disney?
Yeah, but let's not just keep making more verse. You know what I mean? Blank verses.
With Disney.
We're gonna have the Raven verse next, and it's gonna be like Corey in the house. You know what I mean? Like, is back, and I know that's his brother. That's her brother and everything. But it's gonna be like a million Kyle Masseys, or was that Kyle Massey?
Yes.
Yeah, a million Kyle Masseys are all coming back and coexisting. Yeah. It's like
all of a sudden, him from Life is Rough.
That's what I was about to say.
It's now the same one from Corey in the House. It's the same one from That's So Raven.
Right.
Do you remember this? What makes me think of it? When they had the That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Hannah Montana. And so it was Hannah Montana, The Sweet Life on Deck, and
was it Wizards of
Waverly Place. And in one of the very few episodes of Hannah Montana, Selena Gomez is in it. She plays the role of Michaela, and she's like the rival pop star to Hannah Montana, and they don't get along. And then later on in the series, they do the That's So Sweet, or it wouldn't have been that, but it was like Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana. That was the name of it. They do Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana, which Selena Gomez was in Wizards of Waverly Place. And so they make some kind of joke about Michaela to Selena Gomez's character Alex in this because they're both Disney stars, but that's what made me think of it because
Yeah.
they are just trying to they're like, oh shoot, we messed up.
Right.
How can we now we have, Selena Gomez playing different characters in different worlds of Disney.
Yeah, so like that's just a simple crossover episode that they did way back when, but now like they're just trying to intersect too many things into one and everything now. The Avengers is like, hey, we need to cross over all of these films into one. So how are we going to do that? So you write yourself out of it. Okay, now that was a success. So now we're going to do that with the Spider-Man. Everybody who's played Spider-Man is going to come back. Okay, still a success. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves to see it. It's why we have a podcast, because everybody loves nostalgia. Bring back Tobey Maguire to play Spider-Man. Bring back Tim Allen to play Santa Claus. But now, like, that's just the lazy way, is to be like, yeah, we'll just do what Spider-Man did and do it in Santa Claus. And that's how we have so many coexisting Santa Clauses. And that's why I just, like, hated that plot point. Because it was like, oh, come on.
It wasn't needed.
Yeah, you're just putting your own, like, little spin. You're not creating anything. You're just putting your Santa spin on something that's already been there and trying to make it fit.
Right.
And
pretty much.
Yeah. All right, so let me get into some of the reviews here because,
they're alarming.
Yeah, they're kind of alarming. I mean, for the most part, they confirm what we've been already saying.
Okay, good.
So I already told you the years. The regular of the Santa Claus came out in 94. It had a 6.5 rating on IMDb, which is like
mid.
Yeah, that's mid. I mean, especially for like comedies. Comedies don't get like the highest rated, and especially like a Christmas comedy, you probably have the cards stacked against you.
Yeah.
But 6.5, not too bad. All right, so be it. 73 Rotten Tomatoes score and 66 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
That
Again,
makes sense.
Yeah, people liked it. It's not like people think it's the best movie of all time, but people liked it.
Right.
Then the Santa Claus 2 comes out in 2002 and has a 5.7 rating. So clearly goes down. I mean, 5.7 is really like people didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not like dirt ratings,
Right.
It's
It's not a 1.
Right. And 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, 43% audience score.
Oh,
so
that's
clearly
low.
a decrease. People were probably thinking the same thing that we're thinking. Like, you really didn't even have to make a second one. Okay? The third one deserves everything it has coming to it.
Oh, good. I'm excited.
All right. 4.8 on IMDb.
Yikes.
4.8. 17% Rotten Tomatoes.
That's brutal.
Listen, it deserves it.
No,
And
I know.
39% audience score, which I still think is too high.
Get rid of it.
39%. Should be a 17% like the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
I mean, the
That's
people
awful.
who voted that they liked that one, Tim Allen.
Tim Allen made
Allen and
16
Martin Short.
different burner accounts just to try to get the ratings up.
Right, yeah.
They're like, we know we
No,
fucked
guys,
up, but
I
we can
promise
fix
it's
it.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, again, that one, I agree with all of those, other
Yeah,
than
that
like the
makes
audience
sense.
score being too high.
Yeah.
That one deserves every bit of like those bad ratings.
That was so bad.
And it was. Then the Santa Claus is a TV series, 6.3 on IMDb, which honestly I kind of think is a little too high.
That is high.
If it was in like the 5s.
It would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is a little high.
So slightly high. 57% Rotten Tomatoes. That's about right, I would say.
Yep.
Okay. And then 71% audience score. But I think there's an asterisk next to that.
There is. And we were looking at this because with the audience scores, it bases it off of how many people decide to write a review. So it could be the worst movie of all times. But if 2 people that love that awful, horrific movie are the only 2 people to review it, it's going to get a high score.
Yeah. And
so with this, it had less than 250 reviews.
right.
Granted, it's also new, but it just doesn't have the same viewers writing in that the Santa Claus movies did. So I guarantee if like all of those people that reviewed the first 3 movies then went back and reviewed the TV series, it would not be that high.
Yeah, so to put it in perspective, like you said, 250-ish people rated it on Rotten Tomatoes.
250,000
Did the movies. Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Right. And like you said,
statistics play a big role into that.
well, I think that people do need to understand that like this TV series came out in 2022. The second season just came out literally like last month.
Yeah.
In 2023. So they've had less time to review it. But I also just think that it's getting to less of an audience than the movies. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt that it's a 71% audience score. It's not that everybody loves it. Yeah. It's that fewer people are watching it and reviewing it.
Yeah.
And so,
And I think that says a lot more.
Yeah.
That just people aren't even taking the time to watch it.
Right. I mean, hopefully they're thinking what they should be thinking, which is the third movie was so bad, they already ran out of ideas. I cannot imagine what they're going to try to run with now for 2 seasons of a TV show.
Yeah. And hopefully it stops after.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it being renewed for season 3, which hopefully is a good sign. Like, believe me, I'm telling you, if any of the producers or actors on that show are listening to this, I'm telling you, you have run out of ideas.
Yeah, don't come back.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Don't do it.
You ran out. But yeah, so, I mean, we'll get into, is it necessary? Certainly not.
No, I think we made that abundantly clear.
Right, yeah. End of that segment.
Yep, on to the next.
I guess redo or reDON'T, definitely going to be a reDON'T for me. I mean...
A reDON'T for me as well. I think we also made that abundantly clear.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Yeah, right.
We're keeping things moving.
Yeah, exactly. How much time do we got left? No, I mean, definitely a reDON'T. It was like... every once in a while, the saving grace in season 2 is Eric Stonestreet as Mad Santa. He was actually funny. As much as it was completely unnecessary to bring that character in, he was funny.
Yeah.
And then Tim Allen as Santa, every once in a while, had a couple of like one-liners that felt like the regular Santa Claus. But most of the acting,
horrible,
was awful. All of the elves were cringeworthy.
They were, but I also don't want to be too mean because they were kids.
But hold on, let me have a rebuttal to that.
Were they not?
No, they were, but
okay.
But David Krumholtz, who plays Bernard, was a kid-ish, maybe a teenager, in the movies. Spencer Breslin, who played Curtis, was a kid in the first few movies. They were great. Even like Eric Lloyd, who played Charlie in the first few movies, wasn't like really annoying or cringeworthy as a child actor. I get it. You're right. Like, give a little bit more of leeway for,
because
someone who's
you also have to think
12.
of what they're given. Yeah. If they were given a good script and good jokes and good content, I'm sure these kids could, rise to the occasion.
They'd be a little bit better, but
they were just given an awful script.
Not even just the elves, though. What about the kid who played Cal? Terrible acting.
Yeah.
Not funny at all. Everything that was like a punchline for that character was terrible.
I blame the writing, not the actor.
You're right. The writing's bad.
If you have such bad writing, how are you supposed to have a good delivery with something that just sucks?
Well, I think it was a mixture of both. I think it was definitely bad writing, but also bad acting on top of that. I know what you're saying, though, is like the writing might be able to save bad acting every once in a while. Like if you have something that is beautifully written and you're not acting the hell out of it, it still might come off as nice.
Right.
But this was just both bad, writing and acting.
What are they doing with kid actor these days? Hire the good ones.
I know, right?
We used to have great child actors.
Maybe put them in an acting class
before
before you
were
have
they
them
kids? Or do these elves just look super young? Because if you put me on TV in an elf costume and no makeup, I probably could look 14.
No, I think that these were probably kids. My question would be, would David Krumholtz, who played Bernard in the first few films, seemed a little bit older than like kid-ish?
He did, yeah.
So I would guess teens or maybe even early 20s. But like... whether you're the kids or not, some of the adults were terrible at acting.
Oh, well, yeah.
And, it was just really poorly. So a lot of reasons why it gets the reDON'T, because like certainly no plot.
No.
But also just like writing bad, acting bad, just on all cylinders, not good. So reDON'T from both of us. Last thing, now I guess we're just doing it at the end. Anything that you're watching?
Oh, yes.
Okay, finally.
Finally, I started watching something new now that all of my Bachelor shows are over and my life is boring again. I started watching The Crown.
Okay, you did. You were talking about last time that you wanted to watch it.
I wanted to watch it. I committed to it. And I started season 1. I didn't like the first episode, but I powered through and now I'm obsessed. It's so good. And of course, I have 5 more seasons to go. So probably for the foreseeable future, my answer is going to be, well, I'm still working on The Crown.
Sprinkle some other new things in there for Christ's sake, lady, like
Probably
a movie
not.
or something. But
Well, The Bachelor comes back in January, so
some more of that. That's not
Always.
something new to the segment. Something that's just kind of going on in the world, and we have watched it a little bit, but what's going on in the world right now is the 25 Days of Christmas on, I almost say ABC Family every time.
it's basically ABC Family.
In my heart, it is still ABC Family, but I guess Freeform if you want to be particular about it. 25 Days of Christmas is on, and I could pull the lineup up, but it's the same thing every year, that they just repeat the same 5 movies over and over again, and like, Home Alone one night, then The Grinch, then like maybe Polar Express, then Christmas Vacation, then back to Home Alone, then back to Polar Express. It just keeps repeating the same things over and over again. It's like, like somebody plays, the Santa Claus is coming to town.
Well, we watched Rudolph.
We watched Rudolph on our own on YouTube.
That's
because
true.
They were
That's right.
They had it scheduled. We sat down and were ready at like 8 p.m. We were ready for Rudolph to come on. We were in our seats ready to watch it. And then like Eloise's Christmas or something.
Eloise at the Plaza.
Yeah, okay, sorry. That's exactly what it is. How stupid of me. Came on and we're like, this isn't Rudolph. Who the hell is this? And they duped us.
I know.
So then we had to go watch it on our own.
Right. But add that to my list. And we watched the Polar Express.
Okay.
So
we did. Yeah, we're getting in the Christmas theme. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the right way to do it. But on the 25 Days of Christmas, we watched The Grinch, tried to watch Reindeer, ended up watching Eloise's Plaza.
We didn't even watch it.
No, we didn't.
then
Turn
just
that
went to
off right
YouTube.
away. Yeah, I don't want that. So 25 Days of
Eloise's
Christmas too.
Plaza.
Eloise's Plaza.
Eloise owns the whole Plaza
Yeah.
hotel.
No, I mean, listen, if you're listening Freeform, get it right. If you're promising me Rudolph, play Rudolph.
I know. But then we saw on Twitter that people were also complaining, so it wasn't just us.
Yeah. Get it right.
Listen, I will boycott for Rudolph.
Yeah.
There are not many things I would take to the streets, but I will pick it for Rudolph.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, you're promising me one thing. I'm gonna be in front of that TV expecting that. Put that on the screen. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
You haven't watched anything else?
I don't think anything different. I'm still watching Fargo.
And you think I'm bad?
Oh, what 25 Days of Christmas. We've been watching it. That was a good one. All right, but end of that episode for Santa Claus and Santa Clauses. One more week, and listen, Christmas is coming up. Everybody have a good Christmas, first of all. But yeah, one more week of the December themed Christmas. Christmas themed December. There we go.
A December themed Christmas.
Yeah.
I love it. It's not Christmas in July, folks. It's a December themed
This one's
Christmas.
December.
Yeah.
This year. But yeah, so one more. Let's see what it is. You'll have to tune in next week to see what movie we got for you.
It's in my top 5, if that's any indication.
All right.
I don't know if I think
hint.
I've said it in a past.
You have. So now people will
podcast.
have to go back and sift through and take some guesses, but you'll have to tune in to be
It's a
sure.
top 5. Yeah, but thank you for listening and watching this one.
Yeah, thanks, guys.